All right, peeps. I'm getting ready to do Fresh and Fit. I hope I didn't just give away the most amazing thing. This is on the 53rd floor of a building. 53rd floor of a building. Now, I'm not impressed with like stuff, but that's terrifying. That's terrifying right there. Okay, back it up. That is, from what I'm told, South Miami. Holy cows. And then you come around the bend here, and then I guess you can see North Miami or something along those lines. This feels like New York, except younger, more energy. There's dogs everywhere, like good dogs, not always the small fluffy dogs, like big dogs, a shepherd, French bulldogs. This is wild. Although I don't like it on the balcony. This reminds me of an episode of Daniel Thrasher where he's on the top of a building. He's like, "You want to jump off?" Don't joke. I'm just going to go back inside because this makes me feel very uncomfortable. Although during a storm, to watch a storm come in here, although there's a plane right there, so that makes me a little nervous. To watch a storm come in must be absolutely stunning. So we'll be live in 15 minutes, and I'm told the after party can be rowdy, but like I always say, nothing good happens after midnight. But I'm going to go home probably sooner than later. Check that out. All right, that's
pretty cool.
Amazing. All right, let's do this.
So yeah, I was on with Fresh and Fit yesterday. Fresh and Fit, and I never got to make my joke that I've been saying. I have to close this here. That I had been saying. Ugh. I've been Freudian slipping it or inverting it and saying fish and fret, which is quite funny because that's literally what I do on a daily basis. I'm almost a fresh and fit, but I just go and fish and fret. Oh, what happens if those Russian submarines off the coast of Florida detonate a sub-aquatic nuclear bomb and then a tsunami washes over the entire peninsula of Florida? If that were to happen, I just entertain my obsessive compulsive thoughts of impending doom. If a sub-aquatic nuclear bomb were to go off on the Atlantic coast, would the ensuing tsunami wash over the entire peninsula of Florida, like go straight over the peninsula, all the way through the Everglades, wash out into the Gulf of Mexico? Would that happen? And my goodness, would that not be the most epic drone shot ever? Oh, it is a beautiful view, says Trump one. But I could never get used to living in a high rise that high. If anybody hasn't seen the episode of Daniel Thrasher, I jokingly say this is probably not the endorsement that he'd ever want is Viva for talking about Daniel Thrasher, but he has comedy that transcends ideology. And I believe he also suffers from either ADHD, OCD, whatever. We might be kindred spirits in more ways than he might want to ever admit. He did one episode where, like, you're on the balcony. Oh, what would it feel? Just like that compulsive, intrusive thought. And that's anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about. Good afternoon, East Coast. Good morning, West Coast. Good evening, England. So yesterday, I wanted to go live, but it's not possible. I got 2 kids, 2 dogs. I did a segment with Redacted in the morning. And that was aired yesterday, and it was a great segment. We'll probably touch on it today, maybe, about the hypocrisy of the Democrats and the DOJ and, subpoenas for thee, but not for me, contempt for thee, but not for me, conviction for thee, but not for me. The DOJ, Merrick Garland got found in contempt or held in contempt, and they're not going to prosecute it because jail for Bannon and Navarro, but not for Merrick Garland. Did that. And then I get the call from Richard Surrett, Saga 960 or 690. Richard Surrett, Talk Radio. I love him. He says, can you come on and talk about everything? It was amazing. Talked about the Alex Jones case. That segment was 30 minutes at 5:05 yesterday. I've got the audio and I'll publish it later today. And then Fish and Fret. I did it again there. Fresh and Fit, where I had to drive down to that center location in Miami. It's where the shopping center is that has a putt, what is it called? Pitch and putt? Like a mini putt game that adults play like at a bar, and it's a cool game. And I learned something yesterday, not the hard way, but the clearance on the Bronco is taller than 6'7". It wasn't a disastrous mowing into a garage door and like crushing the top off. Those stupid little guiding things actually served a purpose. I don't know what the clearance on that car is, but it's more than 6'7". So if you're going to go into very densely populated areas with limited parking, take the Tiguan. So good morning, everybody. It was a fantastic podcast, I think, with Fish, Fresh, and Fit yesterday, with Myron and Fresh. And we talked. I left before the women came. Like, there was a discussion. Like, do I stay and see what happens? Do I get put in an awkward position? Or do I go home and tend to the paralyzed puggle and squeeze her out before she pees all over the floor and the dog? And I went home. And what did I end up doing last night? As I get home, I'm cooking dinner at midnight. And I decided, for whatever the reason, self-torture, to watch the director's cut alternate ending to Butterfly Effect. I had forgotten how absolutely dark and tear-jerking that was. Okay, let's make sure that we're live across platforms. We're live on Viva Fry on Rumble. We're live on Viva Barnes Pitch and Putt is what it's called, or Putch and Pit. We're live on Viva barneslaw.locals.com. We're not live on Twitter. I didn't hold on. Let me just add, for the time being, I'll add a Twitter edit. Go add on Twitter, save update, and we'll be live on Twitter. Now, for those of you who don't know who I am, you know who I am. Viva Fry, Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler, former Montreal litigator. We start on YouTube, Twitter, Locals, and Rumble. And then we vote with our feet. We vote with our dollar. We create that parallel economy, and we support companies that don't shit on us day in and day out by going to Rumble. And if you're so inclined, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. After we're done on Rumble, we have our after party at Locals, where the supporters get, a few perks of being supporters and supporting the enterprise that has become Viva Fry and Robert Barnes at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We're going to talk about some good stuff today. The lying is out in full force, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And I don't often resort to shaming people. Like, are your parents not ashamed of what a liar you have become? But I did it today. We're going to get there. Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, no lie with Brian Taylor Cohen, shaming his parents because they either raised a liar or they did not shame that man into telling the truth and having a fear of God in the metaphoric proverbial sense. Then we're going to talk about Chris Murphy, a Connecticut senator or congressman. I'm not exactly sure. He's a senator or congressman, talking about Uvalde and basically saying the quiet part out loud, confirming what a great many people believe, what a great many people call conspiracy theory about the response or stand down, absolutely lack thereof, of the 376 police officers who stood by, not for 10 minutes, as he said, not for 50 minutes, as he said, not for an hour, as he said, but for an hour and 17 minutes, and did nothing during that horrific tragedy. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about something I don't like talking about it, but the news is out, or there is some news. How do you digest it? Some news apparently that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, had advanced detailed knowledge of the plan of October 7 in advance, failed or neglected to act on it for whatever the reason. We'll go through it. We'll talk about it. We might maybe save that one for vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And other stuff, what else comes up in the chat. Now we get these things here called super chats, pitch and putt, putch and pit. I don't like it because it's too expensive, and it's like $25 a person. And it seems that the only way to win the game is to get holes in one all the time. Plus it's dark, it's dirty, it's indoors, but it's a cool place. We might maybe whatever. What was I going to say? Yes, these things that you see here, there's super chats on YouTube, Rumble rants on Rumble, and you can do tips and coins and whatever, all that other stuff. YouTube takes 30% of that. So the best way to do it is to go to Rumble and support there, or become a member at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Before we get into anything, people, speaking of fresh and fit, being healthy, staying healthy, sponsor for today's video, one of two of them is, I can't find, here we go, Field of Greens, people. Have it, drink it, eat it. It's a healthy substitute, and it is good for you. Most people don't know that you're supposed to have 5 to 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day. Most people don't have that. One thing I find absolutely sickening and atrocious, and I keep taking the picture but never publishing the tweet, you go into gas stations, and I never really appreciated it until I started obsessing about it. It's like an inventory of sugar waters to make you sick and unhealthy. And then I took a picture of the back of one of those Monster energy drinks. It contains 120% of your daily sugar intake recommended in one freaking can of disgusting chemical-filled sugar water. You're supposed to have 5 to 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day for obvious reasons: health, nutrients, antioxidants, all the good stuff. Most people don't do that. Even if you do that, substitute out an unhealthy habit for a healthy habit. Field of Greens is not a supplement or an extract. It's a desiccated fruit and vegetable, pulverized powder. It's a food. It's USDA organic, and 1 spoonful once a day is 1 serving. Do it twice a day. You get 2 servings, all of as good as you can get, close to the real thing, the raw thing. You get the antioxidants, you get the nutrients. 1 spoonful twice a day. It tastes delicious. It's healthy. It substitutes in a good habit for a bad habit. I once upon a time said humans are creatures of habit that get bored by routine. Get a healthy routine. Filter out the unhealthy habits for the good ones. Fieldofgreens.com. Promo code Viva will get you 15% off and free shipping. Do it. It's delicious. It's great. It's a healthy substitute. You can carry it with you when you go traveling, when it's hard to get raw fruits and vegetables. And thank them very much. Support the companies that like and respect your business. Fieldofgreens.com. It brings you to Brickhouse Nutrition. Promo code Viva for 10% off your order. Oh, Lordy. Now, let us bring on the liars. Pathological, disgusting, shameless lies. I feel like Don Quixote, or that I say Don Quixote, fighting windmills. I'm not looking for imaginary villains to fight. I'm finding real villains to fight, and it's an endless battle because they do not stop with the line. The amazing thing, the video that they're saying is a lie, that Joe Biden didn't freeze up on stage. And the right-wing New York Post disinformation. Joe Biden didn't freeze up on stage. He didn't need Obama to jerk him out of his demented trance. It's disinformation, and they show you this ridiculously edited video. We'll just replay this for those who haven't seen it, though it's been in the news and everybody's seen it. You literally see the moment. Literally see the moment. This is an unedited audience view. You literally see the moment where Obama comes and gets a Biden by the hand, and you see his face literally snap out of whatever trance, demented, senile trance that he was in. Short circuit. Not moving. Look at his head. Ooh, you're there. Look at it. Ooh, you're there. Ooh, you're there. Yeah, that's right. Get off, Joe. Never underestimate Joe's ability to fuck things up. Sorry to swear, I'm just quoting Obama. That's the video. Now, that was in response to who was the liar today? Andrew J. Bates. Andrew J. Bates, fresh off being fact-checked by at least 6 mainstream outlets for lying about POTUS with cheap fakes. Cheap fakes. Do you see how this is all working? You're going to understand this. Cheap fakes, deep fakes. They are goddamned liars. I'm sorry to use the Lord's name in vain for those of you who are sensitive to that. God-forsaken liars. Shameless, unrepentant, habitual liars, cheap fakes. Rupert Murdoch's sad little super PAC, the New York Post, is back to disrespecting its readers and itself once again. Their ethical standards could deal with a little unfreezing. Andrew Bates, I said, you are truly the master of lies, Mr. Bates, almost the master Bates of lies. It's just unbelievable. And they play this video that is a totally it's got like more edits than one of Joe Biden's 13-second advertisements on YouTube. And it's just a lie. Cheap fakes. They're throwing out terms now. Cheap fakes, casting doubt, Russia information campaign. Remember what they said about the Hunter Biden laptop. But you get your liar in chief. I don't know. That's not the right word for it. You get your press sec professional liar. Where is it? Karine Jean-Pierre, where are you? We need you here. There you go. You get your pathological, shameless, exploited, and exploitive. And I'm saying diversity hire because she's literally a diversity hire. She came out, call me whatever. Sorry, in my haste, I seem to have taken the wrong person out of the stream. She is literally and admittedly a diversity hire. Remember day one, she gets up there. She threw off so many things. I didn't even know you could have this many diversity hires in one human. Black, lesbian. What was the other? There was another one. Immigrant. I don't know if it was an immigrant. Like, thank you for being the first woman, or I don't know. Maybe she's the first. All three. She's the first Black woman lesbian press secretary of all time. And my goodness, what a standard she has set for other women out there, other Black people out there, other lesbians out there. You too can be a professional, paid for liar, gaslighter with no respect for your viewers. Odd enough that Master Bates was talking about having no respect for their viewers to the New York Post. This is the diversity hire in chief coming out and doing everything that's basically humanly possible to confirm all of the most nefarious stereotypes about diversity hires. I'll go back and get her clip in a second. Let's hear what she has to say.
It tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate Republicans are here. And instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, where he's been able to
look at the shoulder. Look. Whenever I lie, I just got to tilt my shoulder down a little bit.
Do for the American people across the country. We're seeing these deep fakes.
I'm sorry. What the F did you just say, Karine Jean-Pierre? Let me start this again. I'm not going to talk if I can help myself.
It tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate Republicans are here. And instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, what he's been able to do for the American people across the country, we're seeing these deep fakes, these manipulated videos. And it is, again, done in bad faith.
Deep fake?
It tells you everything.
By the way, I knew that I was on mute. Deep fake manipulated videos? What in the name of sweet holy hell are you talking about, Karine Jean-Pierre? Deep fake. What does she say here? It was deep fake and
that we need to know across the country. We're seeing these deep fakes, these manipulated videos.
Deep fakes. Has she been a fact check on that? Has there a deep fake? I can't get over that. Here, link to tweets. Deep fakes. And so they come out and basically accuse the New York Post of doing to the New York Post audience what they are doing to their followers, their subscribers, their constituents. They come out and then suggest deep fakes, which is the most egregious lie since a Russian information campaign as relates to Hunter Biden's computer. By the way, speaking of which. Oi! 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 I meant to give these to. I realized I should have given one to Fresh and Fit yesterday. I'll have to give them the one the next time I see them. They should have Marco Polo, Garrett Ziegler on. Remember when this laptop came out, and they said it bore the earmarks of a Russian information campaign. I don't know why it's in Saran wrap. Maybe this was Hunter's version. They had to keep it clean and dry. They lie, and then they do what they do. They do what they accuse others of doing. And then they lie again. What was I about to say? I had the thought in my head. Oh, the Russian information campaign. Deep fakes. Highly manipulated videos. Let me see here. Where's Brian Taylor Cohen? BTC. No lie with BTC. Let me bring it up here. I don't think I necessarily had it in my... Here, let's just go. Let's see what Brian Taylor Cohen has to say. Can't believe the guy hasn't blocked me yet on Twitter. I mean, that's good for him, I guess. I mean, the amount of ratioing and calling out, his handle is literally called No Lie with BTC. And I've talked about it many times. It's sort of like the People's Republic of China. Like it's the Democratic Republic of Congo. Like a lot of terrorist organizations give themselves like freedom names or democracy names or people's liberation names. When they give themselves a name, typically, especially one that is self-adulating, self-congratulatory, typically it's one of, I don't know if it's Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, but typically it's a front. Listen to this. No lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, BTC. Oh, God, Bitcoin. That's all I can see with that. Hold on. What are his credentials? Podcast covering the top stories and the interviews with the biggest names in politics. Hosted. He does get good numbers on YouTube, and that goes to show you. The cream rises to the top, but also so does the floating poop. He writes, look at this. Here is a photo of Trump having to hold someone's hand to guide him off stage. I'm sure this will get just as much coverage as the daily quote Biden old story gets. Oh, and look at that. It looks like look, my grandmother had a bad hip, and that's how she kind of walked. I could get a still frame of anybody with their knee bent at an angle that kind of looks like that. Let's read what Brian Tyler Cohen has to say again. Here's a photo of Trump having to hold someone's hand to guide him off stage. I'm sure this will get as much coverage as the daily Biden old story gets. It will, Brian, because I will make sure that it gets as much coverage as the Biden old gets. That was the picture. Now, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's true. But if a picture is worth 1,000 words and a video is 32 pictures per second, well, that means a video is worth 32,000 words per second. And how many seconds is this video? This video is 30 seconds, which means that this video is going to be worth 32,000 times 30. 9 million words. I'm an idiot. Oh gosh, I've embarrassed myself. I should remember never to do math real time. 32,000. No, not 320,000. 32,000 times 30. Oh, damn it. I carried one extra zero. 960,000 words. Here's a video that's worth 960,000 words to Lion Brian. Oh my goodness. I'm calling him Lion Brian. To Lion Brian's video. Where is it? Where is it? Ah, way down. Is this the one? Colin de Bin. Well, this wasn't the original poster, but I'll give End Wokeness the playtime here. 960,000 words coming your way. Remember, people, remember the picture. I'll spoil it a little bit. It's somewhere about here. Nope, it's about here. No, it's about here. No. Oh gosh, I'm ruining everything. There you go. Bam. Oh, I see. Okay, good. They did something. End Wokeness did this edit. Boom. Okay, let's just play this, and then I'll go find the original one. I'm on mute. I'm not working for YouTube copyright trolls. That's the video. Boom. Done. You know what? I actually don't like this edit as much as the original one. Let me see where I retweeted it. The original one without the highlight of where the moment was is even more poignant because you realize how absolutely instantaneous or momentary the hand grab was, where Lion Brian needs you to believe that it was so bad he had to be walked on stage with somebody here. Still Boneless tweeted it, or at least that's where I first saw it. Here it is. Look at this. Look at this. That was it. That was it. You might have missed it. You might have missed it because it's right there. There's the and snap the picture. He needed help. A bunch of shameless, pathological liars is what they are. Shaking his son's hand, indeed, Rampart. And that was it. That's how they're going to flip the script on Joe Biden literally being woken up from his slumber by Obama while on stage. They play a highly edited, I won't call it a deep fake because it's not a deep fake, Jean-Pierre, unless you don't know what that is. It's just a highly edited video that shows something indiscernible when it comes to Biden, but the straight on unedited shows exactly what happened. And then they show a picture to lie. Shameless. Bada bing, bada boom. Let me see. Do I have anything more on that rant and rave? Oh, yeah. Oh, this is funny. This is funny. Okay. Barbara Streisand has gotten very vocal on Twitter these days. I don't know if anybody's followed that. I don't know how, if she's coming up in other people's feeds, it's probably because people are rage sharing her stupidity, where she put out a tweet where I said it has to be rage bait. She puts out a tweet. Can you imagine what would have happened if Hillary Clinton denied the election? And we're like, bitch, are you serious? Like, did you actually just say that and not mean it in a rage baiting troll type way? And there's this thing out there. I don't know if you have ever heard of this concept called the Streisand effect. And the Streisand effect is that, you try to suppress a story, and in so suppressing the story, the unfavorable story, you actually amplify it beyond all recognition. For those of you who don't know the history behind the Streisand effect, it's Barbara Streisand herself. And there was, I think, a real estate agent or somebody who took an aerial photo of her property and posted it somewhere, and it got like 0 views, maybe 16 views. And she had the wise idea of suing to get it taken down. And in so suing, amplified that photo that she was, that no one was looking at beyond all recognition, and hence was born the Streisand effect. Well, is it not the supreme pinnacle of irony that Streisand is up on Twitter creating the Streisand effect around the Biden bullcrap? The New York Post is printing lies about President Biden. No other media outlets should amplify its disinformation. This is so stupid. It has to be done on purpose. She is literally, through the Streisand effect, amplifying I don't call it disinformation because it's information, but they're trying to call it that, in a tweet in which she implores other outlets to not amplify the disinformation while she herself amplifies the information through something known as the Streisand effect. And it's Barbara Streisand who is literally doing it. It's the most sweet, beautiful irony imaginable. But then she's out there posting pictures with look at this. Look at this. And you tell me that this is not a weekend at Bernie's, except it's a presidential term at Bernie's. It was an honor to be a part of Saturday night's very successful Biden event. He must be reelected for the sake of women's reproductive health, children's safety, gun control, climate change, the Supreme Court, and honesty and decency. That is what we just refer to as like just a whopping load of verbal diarrhea. But look at this picture. Okay. Jill looks like, I don't know, this this picture right here. Can I get zoomed in anymore? Everybody knows what this image looks like. I said it looks like this could be a wax sculpture and you would never know the difference. And then you go to this perpetually rigid hand, and I'm not picking on arthritis. This could be a wax statue and nobody would know the difference. They could have had a prop at this event and everyone keeps it secret and no one would know the difference. This is the face of someone who needs assisted living, not someone who should be leading the most powerful nation on earth. And I think I just said that. That's like, this could be a wax sculpture. We'd never know the difference. What's going on here? Get this out of here. Bada bing, bada boom. Back it up. Back it up. Oh, and they all come out in support of Joe Biden. Jack Black is the latest to come out in support of Joe Biden. And I had to let Jack Black what I know. I may have been too harsh on Jack Black, but Jack Black came out and endorsed Biden. It was sort of like a mealy-mouthed endorsement, but then he has to go and retweet the Biden wins, celebrating his endorsement. Oh, here it is, people. It's very sad. There's the expression, you live long enough, you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And there's also the other expression, don't meet your heroes. Look at this. And I'll talk about this afterwards. Here's Jack Black.
A few days ago, my manager called me and said George Clooney and Julia Roberts wanted me to help out the president and speak here tonight. And I said, I am in. When and where? And thank you. And then they said, Jack, we know how busy you are. You don't have time. Look at all the other events that are happening tonight that you already turned down. MC at the Fliegelman Bat Mitzvah, the opening of the new Jack in the Box in Oxnard, judge at the second annual Imperial Valley Avocado Festival.
There's the old expression like truth in jest. And if you assume that there's a bit of an element of truth in this, yeah, he's making light of the fact that he had nothing else to do than be blackmailed into going to an event to support Joe Biden. He's famous. He's, makes movies, although what was the last movie that he made where he did an interview and I said, Jack Black just looks depressed. Who knows? He might, very well have nothing going right now. And this might be a way to revitalize his career. I'll tell you one thing and I'll explain it afterwards. I have personally unsubscribed from Jablinski Games. I'm struggling with how I'm going to deal with Kung Fu Panda 1, High Fidelity, Tenacious D. And I'll explain after, but let this play out. But bear in mind, there might be actual truth in jest here. He might not have anything, and he might be viewing this as a way to attempt to revitalize a lulling career.
You don't see that on Meryl Streep's resume. I said, I know I turned them down, but my president needs me. Thank you. And then they hit me with the big one. They said, Jack, you can't go. You have nothing to wear. Your good suit is in the cleaners. Well, were they wrong? Because I had this to wear. My kick-ass American flag overalls. Most patriotic outfit of all times.
Does he not realize that a substantial or a meaningful or a statistically significant portion of the party that he now has endorsed view that symbol as an act of oppression, as a symbol of the patriarchy and a symbol of racism and institutionalized bigotry? Does he not understand that the very group that he's now endorsing are not only not vigorously proud of that flag, but ashamed of it and vilify it? Does he not know that?
That shut him up.
No, that shut him up, all right.
There wasn't much they could say after that. And when the president wins in November, yeah! I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a sweet shout out in his victory speech for what I gave up to be here. Because when democracy is at stake, Jack Black answers the call. Mr. President, you're welcome. That's not the president. That's not Judge. It's a random dude. But I thought it would look better if I talked right to a guy.
It's very sad. It's sad. I look at that and it's a scripted, totally generic, mealy-mouthed, half-assed, sort of as much fence-sitting as you can endorsement of a president. All right, you asked me to be here and I came. Give me my money, or don't disclose those photos. I look at that, and knowing what I know now about that morally depraved, degenerate, satanic cesspool of Hollywood, I say they've either paid Jack Black enough to make it worth his while to forego the Jack in the Box and Flagelman's bar mitzvah, or they have blackmail material on him. And now you go back to some of the songs of Tenacious D and some of the humor, and you say, if there's a little truth in jest, well, you know, maybe everyone in that satanic, immoral, unethical cesspool of Hollywood has committed an act of dirt and has dirt on them. Now, I vocalized my dismay at Jack Black, disappointment, suggesting that he's either being paid to do this or blackmailed into doing it. I hope it was worth it. What is all the riches of the earth for he who has forsaken their own soul? And I get accused, and I read some comments and I take them to heart. I get accused of being a hypocrite. Someone says, "Oh, you celebrate every," or I won't straw man. You know what? I'm not even going to misrepresent what was said. I'm just going to read the critique, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. Here we go. And then get ready. We're moving on over to Rumble after this. We're going to talk about the juicy stuff. Chris Murphy. All right, here we go. I get a little bit of this is legitimate critique. I don't know. Maybe the person's not legitimate critique and is a troll, but you can't ignore things and write things off just because you don't like what they have to say. Funny when a celeb endorses Trump, you are like, yes. But when it's the other way around, you get mad. Either you like celebs endorsing presidents or you don't. Pick a side. At the risk of being wrong, and someone finding a clip and saying, haha, Viva lied, I don't believe that I've ever celebrated a celebrity or applauded a celebrity for endorsing a politician ever. I don't actually think I've ever done it. And it goes back. I mean, this is how I don't have to have a good memory because I'm just consistent in ethics. Back in the day when Casey Neistat put out that piece of crap of a video, you need to vote for Hillary, I was pissed, not because I disagreed with his position, but because it's out of place for people who did not build their platform on people wanting to hear their politics to be browbeaten by celebrities who, by and large, know jack squat of anything, browbeating anybody into anything when it comes to politics or things beyond their area of expertise. It's not a question of staying in your lane. It's a question of you build your platform off family-friendly cartoons, raunchy comedy that was all-inclusive and not political. If I wanted to hear politics from somebody, I would, either follow them for that, or if they evolved into that, it would be a little more organic than Jack Black out of the blue coming out and saying, now I'm endorsing Joe Biden. But hey, I don't think I've ever celebrated a celebrity coming out and endorsing anybody. I don't believe that celebrities have the moral or intellectual authority to tell people anything. They're celebrities, and that's fine. And if they've established an expertise, that's fine. In which case, they're renowned not necessarily or only for their celebrity status, but for their expertise on a particular issue. So I don't think I've ever celebrated anybody coming out and endorsing Trump. I have pointed out the not hypocrisy, but what happens when they do, they get blacklisted from Hollywood, like James Woods, Dean Cain, Chuck Woolery. I have gone and say that it's a one-way street when it comes out to endorsements. One is celebrated, the other is demonized. But what is just disappointing about Jack Black and what he's doing right now, A, it feels totally insincere. B, it's part of this movement now where you got, who else just came out? All of these celebrities coming out and trying to shame us into voting because they think they know what's better for the rest of us. The people who literally live behind fences now supporting a guy who didn't support a border wall. The people who want to take your guns away literally have their own armed security. The people who will never feel the brunt of Bidenflation or just inflation coming out and telling the lowly hoi polloi, the average citizens who are struggling to make their mortgage payments, support the guy that has basically destroyed the country in which you live, subverted it from within, opened up the borders and now granting mass amnesty, and looking to take away your Second Amendment God-given right to self-defense and relying on the fact that cops are too cowardly or corrupt to do their own job as the basis to do it. Yeah, that's why I'm disappointed in Jack Black. It was out of place. It's not his position to do it. And he's violating the reason for which he became a celebrity, which was unifying through art, not dividing through his politics. And some people might call me a hypocrite. Right now, I've gotten rather political. Everybody knows what I think, even though I never tell them what to vote for. Even when I ran for the PPC, I didn't tell people to vote for me. Vote for me if you want. Vote for Trudeau if that's what you want. But I could say that my evolution has been organic and involuntary. And if Jack Black is now going to get into the realm of social commentary, well, then he's going to have to deal with the fact that people are rightly going to shit on him for endorsing someone who is corrupt, demented, senile, by all accounts, and I say a terrible father, not because one son turned to drugs, but because one daughter alleges that he molested her, showered with her. The other one turned out to be what he is. They hid his corruption. They exploited him for their own personal gain. So yeah, I would say that qualifies as being a bad father. And that's it. That's all I have to say on that. I don't know that I feel better, and I'm not sure that we're going to feel any better with what we're going to talk about now on the Rumble side, but you know what might make you feel better? Knowing that you're protected if and when the corrupt, incompetent Biden regime successfully screws up, or causes an October surprise that is going to upend the world as we know it. Make sure that you have your medical emergency kit on hand at home. I'll start and end by saying this is only available in the US. This is a prescription medical kit that everyone in the US or everyone who can access this should access this. We don't have a healthcare system in this country. We have a sick care system. Pharmaceutical companies make billions. That's billions with a B every single year off sick Americans, which means big pharma needs you to be sick to be reliant on them. I just read somewhere like 48% of all Americans are on some form of a prescription drug within the last 30 days. And like it's a 20% kids in there. It's absolutely wild. I'm sure it has nothing to do with sucking down a freaking Monster energy drink. And then you get an ulcer. And then instead of telling you to stop sucking down the Monster drinks, they give you drugs for your ulcer. Although ulcers are caused by a bacteria, not necessarily that, but whatever. Don't come here for medical advice. Just like Big Pharma, Big Government wants you to feel powerless, like they're in control of you and that you need them to protect you. Where can you push back and how can you do it? We become self-reliant and take back control of our health. The wellness company's medical emergency kits will help you do that. Designed by elite doctors, including Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. Drew Pinsky, who I know very well. Drew Pinsky came up, we had a barbecue together. It's fantastic. These prescription kits have emerged as a keystone of many American families' emergency preparedness plans, saving thousands of dollars in unplanned hospital visits. Dr. Peter McCullough has been preaching the importance of early intervention and treatment since 2020, and that message won't change. Early treatment is paramount to a timely recovery for any illness. So be ready for the next thing, whether it's the avian flu, whether it's maybe Zika is going to make the Zika virus. You guys remember that? Make sure that you have what you need. The Wellness Company's emergency medical kit containing 8 life-saving medications, including ivermectin, amoxicillin, Z-Pak, and a guided book to help you use these life-saving medications safely and effectively. The kit is prescription only. You can't find anything like it in a store or pharmacy. Every American should have at least one of these kits in their home. Go to twc.health/Viva. And because I have a lisp, TWC Tango Whiskey Charlie.health Viva. Use the promo code Viva. You get 10% off and free shipping. Whether it's bird flu, monkey flu, pox, COVID, cyber attacks, Zika, Ebola. Get one, have one, so that you are not caught high and dry when they decide to shut down the world as you know it. Ooh, that was good. I was thinking of starting like an ASMR Viva cracking. No, I've lost him. Darn it. Don't do that, David. You're going to get arthritis. Okay, what we are doing right now, actually, before we do that, let me see what we've got here by way of Rumble rants. Nothing. We got, okay, good. Let us now go over to Rumble. If you're coming there, Rumble, and Locals, if you are so inclined to skip the line. Save some time, skip the line. And by the way, oh, geez Louise. We will have a special guest coming shortly. Tyson Hawkley is coming on at some point. Tyson Hawkley, you might remember, who was a very young kid at the time, live streaming some protests in Victoria, British Columbia. He's going to pop on and give us an update as to what's going on in his life and in Canada. Stay tuned on the other side. In Rumble, get over to Locals, bada bing, bada boom. And now we are ending transmission on YouTube. Bye-bye. Entire stream will be on Viva Clips afterwards. No, I just opened it up. I want to close it. Remove. And we're going to end on Twitter as well. And I'll post the entire stream on Twitter as well afterwards. They get the replay. The party is now at Rumble. What's going on in the chat over here? 3 out of 4 PMs have been from Quebec. That province is ruined to the country, says Honor234. Well, one thing that's undeniable, Quebec and Ontario politically dominate pretty much the outcome of the governance of the country. And so if you believe that Canada is on the decline, you could unreservedly, unblamedly, and confidently blame Canada, blame Quebec and Ontario for that outcome. Oh, Viva Fry, have me on the show, please. Huge fan, inspired to run for local office by you in Canada. Kata Futaba. Let me see. I'm going to screen grab that and have a look. Rumble is where all the cool kids hang out, and there's a little Rumble heart. That's nice. Polish Dog 989. All right. Did anyone see the list of universities George Soros donated to? In Canada was in BC and Ontario. Oh, well, I'm sure Soros is going to come up here in a bit because when we talk about our next subject, it's undoubtedly going to come up. Let me bring up this clip. It's a 4-minute clip. I think we'll play through it because it's worth seeing what they're telling us themselves. Chris, close that. Here we go. Let me stop this here. So Chris Murphy, was he, I'm going to say a senator for Connecticut. Let me see if that's right. Yes. U.S. Senator from Connecticut. The senator versus a congressman. Senate, Congress. Okay, I got it. Separation of power, legislative, judicial, executive. Legislative makes the law, executive enforces the law, judicial interprets the law. They are 3 equal branches of government. One does not get to override the other. All right, good. I'm going to pass my civics test when I... All right, this is what... Now, Chris Murphy, if you cannot already imagine, he's a Democrat. It's funny why he doesn't say that in his profile, but I guess maybe that goes without saying in Connecticut. Listen to what he has to say here. Listen to this.
1 hour and 17 minutes after a gunman entered Robb Elementary School and opened fire on 2 classrooms full of children. 54 minutes after a school police officer got a call from his wife who said that she had been shot in her classroom. 38 minutes after a 911 dispatcher told police there were confirmed victims in the classrooms. Only then did a team of officers finally enter room 111 at Robb Elementary School and kill the gunman. 1 hour and 17 excruciating minutes. The kids inside those classrooms, 9, 10, 11 years old, and their teachers waited to be saved by the people whose job was to keep them safe.
I'm going to stop it. Well, let's just play this out.
The students in rooms 111 and 112 had prepared for this moment. They had practiced what they should do if something like this were to happen. Drop to the floor, sit along the walls farthest from the door and the windows, crouch under desks, countertops, anywhere where you can be safe. They stayed silent, so silent that the officers on the other side of the door thought that there couldn't possibly be children inside. Surely they would be crying out. But they were doing, in fact, exactly what they were told to do. They were doing their part. As the minutes went on, outside the classroom stood not 10 armed officers, not 50,
listen to this.
not even 100. Outside the classroom and surrounding the school, 376 armed officers were present outside the classroom. There is a...
I'm going to stop it right here. If you didn't know who this jackass was, if you didn't know where this was going, because I already told you where this is going, I swear to you, you would think that you're hearing the opening statement of a congressional inquiry into how the hell 376 armed police officers stood by for an hour and 17 minutes, 58 minutes after one of the cops got a call from his wife. You would think that this was an investigation into criminal negligence, criminal culpability, either from the police force, either from their higher ups, who seemingly, if they didn't order a stand down order, sure as heck did not order an engage because this is a emergency order. You would think that you were hearing the intro statements from Jim Jordan into congressional hearings for criminal negligence. What you're actually hearing is this jackass, Chris Murphy, going through painful, horrific detail of the police culpable negligence in response to then push their gun-grabbing agenda. It's like, it is so egregious and so offensive that Chris Murphy, let me just, we're at 1 minute, 51 seconds. Chris Murphy puts out this tweet with this caption. Yesterday, I gave a difficult speech in the Senate. The final reports are in on the Uvalde tragedy. 376 armed officers were outside that classroom for 1 hour and 17 minutes, and they did nothing. Final proof that more guns in our schools will not keep our kids safe? I'm sorry, Chris Murphy. What that is, as far as I'm concerned, is concrete evidence that something much more nefarious happened. And I won't go full extreme on the pendulum or the spectrum of conspiracy theories. At best and at its most charitable, it's the most egregious police incompetence imaginable that cost kids their lives. At best, and I say this about October 7 as well, at best, at its most charitable, you have the most cataclysmic intelligence failure, the most incompetent, bumbling response conceivable, allegedly from the most advanced military, the most scientifically confidential human source respect military on earth. You have the, at its most charitable, it's the most criminally negligent defense and response. In this case at Uvalde, from what Chris Murphy laid out, it's at its most charitable, arguably criminal, but objectively negligent response by 376 armed police officers who sat by twiddling their thumbs, disinfecting their hands. We remember the video for an hour and 17 minutes. And this jackass wants to pretend that it's a gun control issue. I mean, there's so many interpretations to this. We'll get to it in a second. Let's just let this play out. I hate these stories. These are stories of immeasurable tragedy, immeasurable horror. And then they get weaponized, politicized, exploited. The worse the tragedy, the more they exploit it. Like Piers Morgan talking about standing on the graves of children to pass gun control laws. Well, my goodness, I guess it's fortunate, politically speaking. My goodness, if the cops had done their job, and one of those 376 officers breached the door, not after 1 minute, but maybe after 5 minutes. Well, maybe it wouldn't have been what it is now, that Chris Murphy wouldn't be exploiting this horrific tragedy to push their gun-grabbing laws. Oh, look, the police are so incompetent and so negligent and so criminally irresponsible that we need to ban all guns because even the cops with the guns are not going to use them. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the exact wrong conclusion to draw from the patterns, the fact pattern that you just laid out there. We're going to get this? Let's see here. Is this my internet connection?
Safe.
Here
There is a difference between what makes us feel safe and what actually makes us safe.
Yeah, Police not waiting an hour and 17 minutes in an active shooter situation, acting, actually makes you safe. You know what doesn't actually make you safe? Saying, oh, I'm sorry, the cops are going to do nothing, so we're going to take away your Second Amendment rights.
The reality is this: more people with guns and more guns do not make our kids safer.
Are we going to? I mean, we've done the defund the police. Are we going to go with a disarm the police? Well, the cops don't need their guns because they're not going to use them. Let's disarm the police.
That is an uncomfortable truth. I get it.
I get it.
We want to believe that we can meet force with potential force and everything will be okay. But there were 376 armed police officers
who did nothing for an hour and a quarter
outside that classroom in Uvalde.
Who did nothing for an hour and a quarter.
There were plenty of good guys with guns outside that classroom. Some of them steps away from a shooting that was ongoing for an hour.
Does he not understand the point?
Nothing.
They did nothing
for those kids.
Oh, so
frankly, it made the massacre harder to live with for so many of those parents because it exposed this fraud that told us that we can protect ourselves with more guns. There are policies that work. In states with gun safety laws, like universal background checks, safe storage, and red flag laws, fewer people die by guns. In the wake of the bipartisan passage of the 2022 gun bill, gun crime is down. Urban gun murders.
We'll stop it here. It's the rest of this is verbal diarrhea. This is not a call for an inquiry into the police force and criminal charges where needed. This is a call. My goodness, I put out the rather cynical response. Hey man, it's if there had just been more armed police officers there who waited even longer to do nothing, causing even greater casualties. Well, my goodness, I guess Chris Murphy would be happy because that would at least allow him to have an even stronger argument for more gun control. Look, people, the cops are going to do nothing. There's going to be hundreds of armed officers waiting for an hour and 17 minutes. Do you understand what that is? And he lays it out and doesn't go where it logically follows what everything he just said necessarily implicates. Criminal negligence at best. And then you want to go and blame people who see conspiracies, have conspiracy theories where there might not be conspiracies. You want to blame people who believe the statement that, when they say how many children have to die before we can take your guns is not a fear but a threat, or it's not a question but a threat. How many children have to die before you give up your guns? Well, my goodness, following Chris Murphy's logic, had there just been more armed cops who did even less for an even longer period of time and more kids got killed, well, then they'd have an even stronger argument to take people's guns. I mean, it's like you watch it and you just can't believe that this individual is that dense, that he goes there, and that he believes his audience is that dumb that they're not going to realize where he's gone. And so that's it. We'll see if there's any. I don't know what the status is, if there's any criminal investigations committee hearings planned for how it is that 376 armed police officers stood idly by and waited for the length of a feature-length film before doing anything going inside. We'll see. Okay, we got a Rumble rant. The leadership of the IDF, Mossad, and Shin Bet are unfortunately from the, quote, left, end quote. They hate the elected government. Once you realize that, much of what happened on October 7th can be explained. Maria Patel, that's a good point, and we're going to talk about it. I guess it's the good segue into the next subject. So an article came out. It's in the Jerusalem Post, so you have to take these things with the grains of, not the grains of salt. That is, you have to take it with the political bias that might be there. Let me just make sure about something before I do this. Jerusalem Post left leaning. I'm pretty sure the Jerusalem Post is sort of like, the Jerusalem Post is sort of like Israel's CNN. And if I'm not comparing Netanyahu to Trump whatsoever, But if you assume something of that dynamic exists, so let's just say you have a CNN type entity reporting on someone who is, for the same or different reasons, regarded as a Trump-like political figure. Let's just assume Jerusalem Post doesn't like Netanyahu and wants to take him down or wants to put out negative news. You read this with the similar sort of bias that you would read a CNN article complaining about how Trump referred to something as shithole countries. Jerusalem Post writes, IDF knew of Hamas's plan to kidnap 250 before October 7 attack / report. Be skeptical, but be skeptical, and especially be skeptical to believe something which confirms what you already believe, because I know what I already believe, and I know what I've been, contemplating and suggesting or saying since day one. The IDF had precise information, this is a key word, about Hamas's intentions, but due to prevailing conceptions in the security establishment and possible negligence by officials, the warning signs were not acted on. Now, the word precise, I say, is relevant because some people are going to say, Hamas always has intentions of. Hezbollah always has intentions of. It's like sort of part and parcel of the dynamic of the relationship. So, to say, the IDF knew that there was a plan in the making, or that they were talking about something, they as a terrorist organization are always trying, always planning, and it always exists. So the question here is, was there anything specific, precise? You do remember there were reports early on that Egypt had warned Israel of a pending potential act of terrorism. You will recall I posted the video that when Netanyahu and that other guy, I forget his name, and Levy maybe, were on a 60 Minutes episode, and Leslie Stahl was asking them about the fact that a bunch of reservists had refused to show up to work to protest Netanyahu's policies vis-a-vis the Supreme Court battle that they were having there. And they were saying, this creates exposure for Israel. This is a security risk. And then the other guy, I forget what his name is, says, what is the price of democracy? Like, we're gonna bend over and compromise democracy to cater to the people who are not showing up to work, thus leaving Israel vulnerable. That was 3 weeks before October 7. I'll see if I can pull that up after this. So the idea that they knew that Hamas was planning something, that'll always be true all the time. Whether or not they had, and it's the key word, precise information and didn't act on it, or as Maria is hypothesizing, whether or not there were some who, if an atrocity occurred under Netanyahu's watch that could be blamed on Netanyahu, that would be politically beneficial for the underlying deep state, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't like Netanyahu. And I'll avoid any confusion here. I don't trust Netanyahu from a hole in the wall. And I think that they should have answered questions as to how this happened before deciding on the response to this, because if you're at most charitable, so incompetent and so inept that you could allow something like this, or something like this could happen under your watch, I'm not going to trust the most inept security that was at the helm of the worst attack in Israel's history, the one-day attack. I'm not going to necessarily rely on them to adjudicate and carry out the appropriate response. They've proven themselves to be inept and incapable at best, and something much worse at more sinister. And would you trust them to then carry out the response if you determine them to be inept and corrupt or something much worse? No, you wouldn't. Answer questions, clean house, and then you can decide what would be the response. Sort of like the Pearl Harbor argument. Well, do you want to discuss how it happened, or we're in the heat of the moment, now we'll figure it out afterwards? Well, no, because the people doing the responding were the ones who are at the helm of the ship when the atrocity occurred in the first place. They might not be the best, most competent, most ethical people to respond. A newly surfaced document has revealed that the IDF and intelligence systems had detailed knowledge of Hamas's plan to raid Israel and kidnap 250 people weeks before the October 7 massacre. The document, which was compiled in the Gaza division, outlines Hamas's intention and was known to top intelligence officials, according to a report by Khan News. The document, titled Detailed End-to-End Raid Training, was distributed on September 19, 2023, and described in detail the series of exercises conducted by Hamas elite units. You do it like, I've had this argument with people, and I say, and I know that they're not exactly comparable, but I say, okay, the IDF Israel can determine that there's a Hamas office building in a hospital structure 4 stories beneath the ground. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but they can pinpoint that. They can pinpoint the exact apartment where 4 hostages are being held hostage based on confidential human sources, spies that infiltrate the refugee camp. But they had no human resources. They had no knowledge of this, to the point where paragliders slowly but steadily flew over the most secure border and then went on a murderous rampage for 7 to 12 hours, pretty much unabated. So this is, you know, did they have more detailed information than they purported to have? These exercises included raiding military posts and kibbutzim, collective immunities in Israel, kidnapping soldiers and civilians, and maintaining hostages once they were in the Gaza Strip. The report by Khan News stated, quote, security sources told Khan News that the document was known to the intelligence leadership and at the very least in the Gaza division. The document's revelation came in the week of widespread criticism over the failure to anticipate and prevent the October 7 attack, which resulted in significant casualties and hostages. Warning signs were not acted upon. IDF had precise information about Hamas's intention, but due to prevailing conceptions within the security establishment and possible negligence by senior officials, the warnings were not acted upon. Excuse me. The report further detailed that Israeli intelligence officials monitored the exercise and documented the steps Hamas planned to take after breaching Israeli territory and taking over military posts. The expected number of hostages, according to the document, was between 200 and 250 people. Quoting, Israeli intelligence officials who monitored the exercise, detailed in the document the next steps after breaching into Israel and taking over the posts, determining, oh wait, no. How did this just refresh? Determining that the instruction is to hand over captured soldiers to the company commanders. The expected number of hostages, it states, is between 200 and 250. It's seems relatively specific. Oh, but they were caught with their hands down. It took time to respond, and the most secure border on earth, bulldozers broke open fences and hours of murderous rampage. The information, combined with a new sophisticated security barrier completed 2 years before the attack, was believed. This information, combined with a new and sophisticated security barrier completed 2 years before the attack, was believed to have made such an assault improbable. However, the barrier failed during the Hamas attack, highlighting a significant intelligence and security oversight. The General Staff investigation team is expected to present initial findings from this failure to the Chief of Staff in the coming weeks, as the country seeks to understand how such a lapse of security could have occurred despite having detailed advanced knowledge of the enemy's plans. Israeli-Hamas war began October 7th. During the massacre, more than 1,200 Israelis were murdered, 350 at the music festival. 120 hostages still remain in captivity. So you read that, you take that with whatever the grain of salt that you want to take it with. Let me just see if I can find this. 60 minutes. Let me see if I can just find this. There we go. Found it. You take that, and let's just, I mean, we won't go with the Lee hop or me hop, or let it happen on purpose or made it happen on purpose. That would be too conspiratorial. Let's just say it's criminal negligence. Let's just say it's egregious, incompetent negligence. This was from 3 weeks before the attack. 3 weeks before the attack. First of all, it drives me crazy listening to Leslie Stahl. It sounds like she's slow, like physically slow. I'm sure many of you have already seen that if you follow me on Twitter. And so now coming back to Maria's Hrumble rant, where she says, the leadership of the IDF, Mossad, Shin Bet, that's the secret police, are unfortunately from the left. They hate the elected government. Once you realize that, much of what happened on October 7 can be explained. You could go with this. There's any number of angles that it can be interpreted from. First of all, the idea that people out there would say, well, a government would never let something terrible like that happen. What kind of monster government would do that? I mean, it's as though we've learned nothing, or for some reason we think governments today are somehow better and more moral, more righteous than governments of eras past. It's as though we still believe that, despite having seen our governments of today literally experiment on humans in real time. It's not because the act of violence is a little bit more subtle, or I say less physically violent, that it's any less of an act of violence against humanity. Human experimentation was outlawed under the Nuremberg Code specifically as a result of atrocities committed during the Holocaust. And our governments experimented on us in real time. Obama proudly took gleeful joy. Well, we've now effectively clinically tested on billions of people. Our government, the American government, at least mine while I live here, tested syphilis on Black Americans for 40 years. They tested anthrax vaccines on the military. They sprayed chemicals to see what would. Our governments historically have committed atrocities that anybody thinking they wouldn't let it happen, make it happen, or turn a blind eye or politicize it in modern times, I would say actually you have to be stupid to not learn from the past. You take Israel in particular, the country that took pride in experimenting on its citizens. 6 million, they were the most highly vaccinated. They were reporting those results in real time to Pfizer. Oh, but that's not violence. That's not like the idea that you would accuse the American government of like having a role in turning a blind eye to 9/11. That's crazy because that's a real act of violence. They blew up buildings and killed 3,000 people in one day. Oh, but turning a blind eye to the human experimentation that was being conducted by Moderna and Pfizer, that's somehow less egregious because it's like more passive murder. So once you assume that the governments are evil, period. They always have been, they always will be. They can't be trusted. They never could be, they never can be. And once you understand that, well, then you look at this. The left wants to embarrass Netanyahu. And so they have an intelligence failure so that this atrocity occurs under Netanyahu and causes him to be removed from power. Okay, that's one interpretation. That's one possible conspiracy. Here's another one. That guy there, I forget the other guy's name. What is the place of democracy? He could say, look, we knew of the risk too. These MFers want to F around. They want to leave their posts empty and then result in their citizens getting slaughtered because nobody was there. Intelligence failure, security failure. Well, then they can try to pin the blame on them. I think that's less likely because this makes Netanyahu government look culpable at the very best. You want to go one layer more sinister? Let a horrible atrocity happen, or at the very least, turn a blind eye, or at the very least, oh, it's very bad. Let's exploit it right now. Take 9/11 and turn it into the pretext to invade one country after another. Take October 7 and turn it into the pretext to raise what's left of occupied territories of Gaza. Again, you don't have to agree with something in order to understand how someone can reasonably believe it. Because one way or another, it's at its most charitable, arguably criminal negligence. Well, the outcome is exactly what some people suggested would be the outcome from the beginning. So take that report for what it's worth. But I think we could all know Egypt said that they gave warnings in advance. Whether or not those are generic warnings because there's always a risk and therefore saying that there's a threat is just another day is one thing. Detailed numbers, detailed plans, and then how it occurred that there was such a breach. It's obviously inexcusable. The only question is whether or not it's something far more cynical. Okay, well, I think that covers that. I hate these stories also because there's no way to have a discussion about it without the classic tropes. Let me go see what tropes there are. There won't be tropes in Rumble because we're a wonderful crowd. Yeah, I'm not going to get. That's it. I don't want to get into too much other stuff. All right. Speaking of governments always being bad, always have been bad, always will be bad, and they need to be kept to the absolute smallest and absolute most transparent. Jake Lang, people. You know Jake Lang. He's in jail. Some of you think he might be rightly in jail because he carried out an act of violence on a police officer. I remember. Look, he gave me an interview from jail, and I don't know how he's doing it, but like Michael Avenatti's giving prison interviews. Dexter Taylor gave me a prison interview. So I guess maybe it's not. And plus he's in a state remand. So apparently the rules are a little bit more lax. He put out a video. I'm not sure. I think he's going to get in trouble for putting out a video, but what do I know? But we'll watch this because I think it's worth watching. He apparently there's going to be a hunger strike for the Jan Sixers. And anyhow, listen to this.
Hello, America. My name is Jake Lang. I'm a January 6th political hostage held by the Joe Biden regime for 1,242 days without a trial. I'm recording live right now from Brooklyn MDC Federal Prison, where I'm about to be sent to solitary confinement for 2 months for this incident report I just received. This is an incident report saying that I did 6 interviews in the last about a month or two. And they want to shut me up and silence me and silence the January 6ers' voice crying out from prison that we're being tortured and politically persecuted and mistreated with cruel and unusual unconstitutional confinement. This is on par for the BOP and the corrupt Department of Justice. They want to do anything they can to compromise and to destruct the American people's ability to hear the January 6ers because it's become an election issue. They know that people want to vote for Donald Trump to free the Jan 6 hostages, and they want to shut us up from prison so that they can steal the election and continue to run this country into the ground. We're not going to have it. By the time you guys hear my voice, I will be in solitary confinement 24/7, 2 hours out per week to see the sun. That's it. No phone calls home, no legal visitation, no legal library, no religious services, no commissary, nothing. I will be in the struggle, in the hole, basically completely segregated in a sensory deprivation chamber. This is what they do to political hostages in China. This is what they do in Bolivia, in third world country banana republic regimes, not in America. I'm simply exercising my First Amendment right. We needed to use a cell phone because they have shut down every other means of communication. I do these interviews using this device sometimes, and most of the other prisons I haven't had one. Actually, nowhere else I've had one. To raise money and raise awareness, not to do anything illegal. I'm a pretrial detainee. I haven't been found guilty of a single crime. Why can't I not call my family and call the media? Why do I have to be silenced and gagged like President Donald Trump? The people who silence you are tyrants, and they don't want your voice to reach the world. So here's my call to action, and here's what's going to happen. By the time you hear this, I will be on a hunger strike in solitary confinement. I will be putting out a video pre-recorded every single day from solitary confinement. I'm pre-recording them now, but I'll be in solitary, struggling it out, praying to Father God that he gives me the strength to make it through this madness. I need your help, America. The Jan 6ers need your help, America. This political persecution must stop. I need you to call your senators. We're going to put the links and the numbers below this video. Call them right now. Tell them Jan 6ers are in solitary confinement. I've done 800 days. Out of 1,242 days, 800 of them have been in solitary confinement. Call your senators. Call your congressmen. Call the BOP. Call Brooklyn MDC. All the numbers will be down here. And call the U.S. Marshals because I'm in their custody. Allegedly, they're supposed to be making sure that I'm not cruel and unusually punished. But they don't listen to that. I need your help. Get outside Brooklyn MDC if you're in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. If you're nearby Brooklyn, New York, I need you out here. We're going to announce a huge protest. Everyone better be out there. This is what America stands for. We have a right to protest. We have a right to freedom of speech. And they better not take these rights from us. Our founding fathers knew what to do when tyrants tried to tread upon their rights. What will you do, America?
Now I'll share this with you, and I'll be not just objective. I am always objective. I will steel man everybody's criticism, or not everybody's, but people's criticism of Jake Lang. Hold on. Here's the link. There are going to be some people out there who are going to say Jake is a troublemaker and he causes problems, and not just for himself, but for other Jan 6 defendants. And he gets people locked down and he's clearly breaking the rules. And therefore, he's fafoing in prison. I mean, some people are going to say you're not allowed a phone in prison. Obviously, you can use it to coordinate doing drugs. He's breaking the rules. He's getting what he deserves. Others are going to say, and understandably so, that Jake Lang, he's alleged to have committed acts of violence, but video is there. So it's not. You can say, well, he hasn't been found guilty yet. It's not a judicial fact. The videos are there, and in all of his interviews, he's kind of confirmed a lot of stuff, which I have no doubt is going to not just convict him, because he's going to get convicted, might play against him in terms of sentencing. He said when I interviewed him, he said, I think the word he used was materialized. A bat materialized. He said, it didn't show up with a bat, but a bat materialized. And he's going to argue self-defense, that these cops were provoking, lobbing tear gas in, firing rubber bullets, beating people with batons. And he'll argue that. Good luck to him. It's not going to work. But that's going to be his argument. It was self-defense. It was provoked. And I didn't go there to be violent. But I fought back when I saw cops trampling people like Roseanne Boyland. There's going to be people say he carried out actual acts of violence and he should not represent the Jan 6ers, especially the ones who are there on non-violent crimes, who have been persecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And I can understand all of those arguments and I respect them. They're using the phone. It was my major concern for the first interview because I don't know how he was giving interviews from prison. And I said, I'm not going to partake in anything that I think might get Jake Lang punished harder, or others, even if Jake Lang is ready to use a video camera, make videos and publish them from prison. I understand what he's doing. And I understand how people are saying he's getting what he's asking for. I highlight the absolute, it's not a two-tiered system, it's lawlessness. 5 illegal immigrants physically assault a New York police officer, and they are released the same day. As far as I understand, no bail. Let me just fact check myself in real time. Illegal immigrants, assault officer, New York PD, no bail. I think they were released with no bail. There you go. ICE arrests illegal migrants released without bail after alleged assault on New York Police Department officer. That's also alleged. We got to say it's alleged, even though we saw the video. It might not have been them, as was the case with one illegal, the guy who gave the middle fingers when he was released. He wasn't actually one of the ones who assaulted the police officer. But it's alleged. Maybe they have the same defense that Jake Lang has, the self-defense, provocation. Those illegal immigrants, and that's relevant only because they've also broken another law, allegedly assaulted an officer, were released the same day without bail. Let's just assume Jake assaulted the police officer and he's going to have a defense. He's been in jail now for how long? And he's been in there and broken and abused and tortured. And the man has to be permanently traumatized and acting out in a way that is the result of that 2+ years of trauma. And then you're going to say, well, he's acting out and misbehaving, and so he's getting what he deserved because he's still locked up in jail on, even if it's alleged assault. What other illegal immigrants were released the same day without bail? You got the Molotov cocktail throwing lawyers out of New York who were given a sweetheart plea deal. What did they serve? A year? I forget what they served. And you're going to tell me that you should not be protesting even for Jake Lang, even if he did or is alleged to have committed acts of violence, despite getting a wildly different treatment under the law, under the injustice? No, I'm sorry. I start obviously all of the non-violent Jan 6ers should be all pardoned, forgiven, charges dropped, and they should be compensated for whatever suffering they've gone through. Even when it comes to the alleged and even bona fide violent Jan 6ers, the punishment has to fit the crime. And when there's a punishment that is so disproportionately punishing, if I may be redundant, we have a broken system, and Jake Lang is the evidence of that broken system. Solitary confinement is torture, period. Recognized as such, and it's used to discipline and break people, to cause them to become even more erratic or outspoken in their behavior so they can get even more punishment. So that's what's going on with Jake. I'll show you the link in a second. Maria Patel says, Supreme Court judges in Israel are on the, quote, left as well. The, quote, left can't control the country through elections, so they stack the courts and will often block government decisions. Yeah. Let me bring this down here and let me make sure that I've given everybody that tweet. Is it here? Link. Yeah, that's the tweet right there. I'm just reading. Going to go up here and see the. Oh, let's go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com and see what's going on. In the tipped comments, we've got, this is what would happen if they. What did they say here? Hold on a second. Escape. This is what would happen if they tried to lock up Viva. Let's see here. I'm going to bring this meme up. It's quite beautiful. Going to share the screen. Present. Here we go. Look at this. Is it beautiful? Well, that's actually kind of what my right arm looks like. Oh, yeah. Okay, get out of here. Look at that face. All right, so we got one from Finboy Slick and another one. Let's see what we got here. Reuters fact check. Back in 2021, when Biden said, my butt's been wiped, he was bad then, even worse now. Hold on. I don't remember this. My butt's been wiped, Biden. What the heck is this? No, that's not the right one. Get this out of here. Hold on a second. We got an AP fact check, people. Reuters. Posts misconstrue Biden. Are we looking at the same thing here? Oh my goodness, these ads are annoying. Posts misconstrue Biden's response to reporter at press pool, August 2021. A video of U.S. President Joe Biden responding to a reporter has gone viral on social media, with some users claiming he said, quote, "My butt's been wiped," end quote. A slowed down version of the video footage, however, shows Biden saying different words in response to a reporter's question. "He's getting worse, folks. God help us all," reads the description of a YouTube video that features the footage and loops the apparent quote here. Hold on. We obviously have to see this. Are we looking at the same thing? Okay, let's see this. I love Biden. Okay, let's see.
What must be what? What must be what? What must be what?
He didn't say my butt's been wiped.
What must be what?
Okay, what do you think he said? I don't think he said my butt's been wiped. Okay, for other iterations can be seen here. Some of the comments said, "What's wrong with this guy? This man has no class." The exchange happened, yada, yada, yada. We one helicopter. Okay, for the scene can be viewed by ABC here. Okay, fine. What does he say? Around the same time, a reporter off camera can be heard saying, "Does immigration need to be in reconciliation? Must it be in reconciliation?" Biden then appears to respond, "What must be what?" or "But what's been what? Not my butt's been wiped." Oh, while his complete phrase is not entirely clear, which should be a problem on its own, but whatever. Reuters was able to confirm that Biden did not say the words that have been attributed to him on social media by analyzing the video slow motion and playback. Around 43, yeah, must. Okay. Must be right. Well, that's funny. Oh, speaking of Biden, by the way, and speaking of covering for him, by the way, remember that time when they said the mass amnesty to impact the election, illegal immigrants affecting congressional seats? Holy cows! The news of the day is that, or at least the other day, is that they're announcing mass amnesty. Now, I read this and I'm also skeptical because some people say this is the end of democracy. The plan is in effect, and then you have to hammer out the details by filtering through the news. White House announces mass amnesty plans for illegal immigrants married to U.S. citizens. If that's the extent of it, and there's no, I don't know, pork sausage or whatever, if that's the extent of it, I have to think about how I feel about this. The Biden administration announced on Tuesday sweeping executive action to provide legal protections to tens of thousands of illegal immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens. The order, touted by the White House as an effort to, quote, keep families together, protects the spouses of American citizens from deportation and provides them with work permits if they have lived in the country for at least a decade. So this is where I'm getting confused right now. It protects the spouses of American citizens from deportation and provides them with work permits if they have lived in the country for at least a decade. So long as we're still referring to the spouses of American citizens, I think I would be amenable to supporting something that would say, I appreciate there's going to be like the anchor baby or the anchor wife or the anchor spouse. But okay, let's just see. An estimated 1.1 million illegal immigrants are married to U.S. citizens, and Biden's new program, referred to as a, quote, parole in place, end quote, could benefit nearly 500,000 people. An estimated 1.1 million illegals are married to U.S. citizens. Can you understand? Can you appreciate this actually for 1 second? Of all the, there are so many illegal immigrants in America that there are 1.1 million illegal immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens. Let's just try to figure out what that could mean if we try to average up or analyze that number up. How many illegal immigrants? How many people get married? How many illegal immigrants get married? What percentage? I wonder if you can factor up. If you say 10% of illegal immigrants will get married to American citizens, so there have to be at least 10 There's probably more than that. Okay, whatever. That's a very high number. 1.1 million illegal immigrants are married to U.S. citizens, and Biden's new program, referred to as POLA, could benefit nearly 500,000 people. Under the program, eligible individuals will have 3 years to apply for permanent citizenship. Quote, President Biden believes that securing the border is essential. Bullshit. The White House said in a statement. Yeah, that's why they're suing to prevent Texas from being able to enforce the border. Yeah, they believe the securing the border is essential. Securing it to authorize illegal immigrants under the pretext of offering them everything they could ever want so they can buy their vote and thus not have to convince citizens based on policy, but rather import voters based on politics. He also believes in expanding a lawful pathway to keeping families together, and that immigrants who have been in the United States for decades, paying taxes and contributing to their communities, are part of the social fabric of our country. It's like it rewards not getting caught for the illegal activity. Biden is and it rewards the government not having acted on it. Biden is expected to celebrate the executive action at a White House event celebrating the 12th year anniversary of former President Barack Obama's DACA program, which shields illegal immigrant children from deportation. The new order will also make DACA recipients eligible for health care. Wow, this is how you replace a demographic, people. The Biden administration is also crafting a plan to streamline the process for undocumented students and other illegal immigrants to receive temporary work visas. This is where they just subtly throw in the fat after they've gotten to the headline that most people would support an illegal immigrant getting a amnesty if he's married to a legal citizen. Most people, a U.S. citizen. Let's just see what else they're also crafting a streamlined process for undocumented students, illegal students, and illegal immigrants to receive temporary work visas. Oh, okay. Although DACA has survived legal challenges up to this point, it's unclear if Biden's new executive action will have a similar fate, particularly given the composition of the Supreme Court, 6-3. Political consequences of Biden's new relief program for illegal immigrants could worsen his standing on the immigration issue. Yeah, they want a secure border, but they also want to give amnesty to everybody who violated that unsecure border. His handling of illegal immigration is viewed extremely negatively by the American public, as record numbers of people have flooded the southern border since they took office. Don't come. Let's see here. Poll taken by CBS, yada, yada, yada. Over 60% of Americans, including a majority of Hispanics, favor mass deportations of all illegal immigrants living in the country. Wow. Separating polling from Gallup people. Yeah, okay. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Allergies, people, I hope. All right, well, that's it. That's the amnesty question. Let me go here and let me see what's going on here. Oh, okay. Our guest is running a little late. Hurry, I'm going to say. Let's go to the chat and see what's going on here. Oh, man. Got some sneezing. In the chat in Rumble. Bless you, Viva says Cole's towing. Hoppity Hooper says, yeah, they pay taxes. Sure. What if they have a criminal record? It says Hisser Van 1. Wow. Yeah, everybody, you should hit that thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed button. I propose a new program to commute the sentence of people who have committed breaking and entering if they are married to someone who hasn't. I get what you're doing there. Torch of Liberty books. We got border jumpers. You know, like it's an amazing thing where like 60% support mass deportation. You have they've turned. Remember when they accused Trump of torpedoing that bipartisan border bill, which was nothing but a Ukraine funding bill. They accused Trump and the Republicans of torpedoing border security after they've left the border open for the last 4 years, rampant, illegally, and military-aged fighting men entering a country with no women, no children. The old meme. It's an interesting meme, but when you are fleeing from a war, you take your wife and kids, and when you are running into battle, you leave the wife and kids at home. And can't really disagree with that. All right, while we're waiting for our guest, let me go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com and get some questions in here. Let me see here. I liked my country just how it was. Thank you very much, says Bill Brown, who is a United States Marine Corps USMC. There's some funny memes in here. Even legal immigrants can get deported if they get divorced. Even legal immigrants can get deported if they get divorced, says Rakshas 72. And let's keep going up here. Wow, Boeing not letting up. Virgin Australia B737 makes emergency landing in New Zealand after emergency fire. That's from USA Now. Pennsylvania is giving driver license and automatically registered them to vote, says biology always wins. USA Now says January 6th defendant Andrew Johnson in financial ruin, on the brink of homelessness ahead of sentencing. And how many January 6ers have taken their own lives because of the torturous process of what they've gone through? Oh, okay, let me make sure that I've gotten any more stories that I had on the post. Hold on. Oh, yeah. No, here. Listen to this, by the way. And then you have to see how the rollcall.com, how they spin this. Democrats hail Biden immigration moves that Trump's brands amnesty. Steps include easier work visas for DACA recipients with college degrees. The Biden administration announced a new program aimed at helping some migrant families to stay together by allowing non-citizen spouses. They call them non-citizen spouses. That's unbelievable. And children to apply for lawful permanent residence without leaving the country. And Donald Trump and other top Republicans are already crying foul. That's because you're referring to illegal immigrants as non-citizen spouses. Why don't you just call them illegal immigrant spouses? The administration also said that some of the recipients of deferred action and other so-called dreamers would be able to get more swiftly work visas if they have earned a college degree at an accredited U.S. institution and received an offer of employment from a U.S. employer in the field related to that degree. So even by the admissions of the left itself, there's more in that than just illegal immigrant spouses who are married to U.S. citizens getting the right to stay while they or being fast-tracked into citizenship or whatever it is. Okay, let's try something a little different here. I'm going to go into the Rumble Rant chat, not Rumble Rants, but in the chat, and let's just see what we're going over here. Head of Broccoli says Pennsylvania used to ask whether we wanted to register to vote or switch our registration. Well, hold on, I can bring this up while I do this. Stop this. Pennsylvania used to ask whether we wanted to register to vote or switch our registration when we got our renewed our license. Now the government wants illegals to get DLs. They need those votes. Trump can't deport them if Biden gives them all amnesty first, can he? I think we talked about that, Cole's towing, and I mean I defer to Barnes on this, but I think if they're granted amnesty, there's nothing that you can do to undo that. But that could be an impeachable offense. How many people have had our government come after you, says Indian Toes. I don't know if that's directed at me. And Sadwings Raging says, no, he can't legally grant them amnesty. I thought he could. But this is where Barnes and I are obviously going to talk about this during our next Sunday show. These are rules about academics and jobs for illegals. The only way they should be provided such largesse is if there are no U.S. citizens capable, qualified for the job. Well, I can tell you that's how it typically works. That you have to show that it's a job that requires a foreigner because there's a lack of ability or lack of demand on the domestic market. So that might be, but okay, hold on a second. We got another Rumble rant here. Crash Bandit. Keywords, quote, and other illegals, end quote. That door is so big you could drive a nation through it. Not bad. All right, let me see what we got. We're going to lose our guest here. Hold on one second. Yep, is he here? Okay, hold on. Oh, let's go back to the chat anyhow. Add to stage. Everybody. Oh, and I'll tell you what's coming up for the week. I don't remember. I feel like I've got some. Holy crap. Okay, no, I don't have to pick up a kid yet. Jeez Louise. Kata Futaba says, so go to Google or Microsoft. They're replacing Americans for underpaid immigrants. It's wild. The upcoming draft will be the way they can traffic American women illegally, says Smoothie66. Yeah, they're talking about streamlining registration for selective service. Oh yeah, I should do the link to locals. Thank you, Neurodivergence. Here, hold on a second. Link. Okay. Oh, hold on. I've lost my train of thought here. There's looky. King of Biltong's in the house, people. King of Biltong, good afternoon from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free shipping for your biltong using code Viva on www.biltongusa.com and www.antonusa.com. Biltong is perfect for your carnivore, keto, and high protein diet. Taz says we don't need any laws for immigration. If we enforce the laws we already had on the books, the problem would solve itself. There's a no-brainer there. See, now here's a spammer. It says, liar, MSNBC's jackass, Joe Scarborough, clown, idiot, stupid, all kid. I don't know if that might not be spam, but I'm inclined to laugh at that because Joe Scarborough is an idiot. Okay, hold on just 1 second here. Let me remove this. Should I do this now? I was going to wait for the after party to do this, but since we're waiting already, I want to bring this up. Oh, I was going to do some opening of mail, but I need to make sure that I don't open anything that reveals someone's private information. I went to the post office yesterday and got some stuff. Let me just make sure that there's nobody else's address on this. There isn't. Okay. I got this in the mail and it says, plain truth. Let my people go. Let my people post. And that looks like Donald Trump as Moses. Protest this evil. And inside, if I'm going to open it, I have no idea what's in this. I'm going to it's only got my post office box on it. So I know that I can't dox myself that way. Okay, this is wild. I'm gonna have to read this, all of this. Support Tucker, fight for freedom worldwide. Attention, President Trump, you are red, white, and blue, and it's a whole thing. Mike, make millions. Look at this. This is fantastic. Okay, we're gonna go with that one, and I think yes, Anton's Meat and Eat. My shipment has come in the mail. Hold on, let me lock it. Let's see what we got, Anton. Bada bing, bada boom. Close it. And this is the tea. I think this is the tea. Yeah. This is a bit Maltesers. Okay, that's it. And this is going to be good for the road trip that I'm preparing to embark upon. Oh, yeah. Biltong, baby. Okay, booyah. I will not do the rest of this. We got more stuff afterwards. Let me just make sure and see where are you? Question mark. We're going to have our locals after party after this regardless. So stay tuned for this. And let's see what we got in the chat in locals. Hold on. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Did Ethan's letter arrive by chance? Hold on. Let me see. I'm going to save some of the gifts for the locals after party. The gifts, some of the stuff that I received in the mail. It's fantastic. Okay, let's see here. Hold on. In locals, back in 2002, I sent an email to the U.S. Army asking if I could join as a foreigner, and their response was only if you are in the U.S., says Stephen Britton. I'm not sure. Well, I have no knowledge of that. Viva Fry Christmas already, says Hyphen. It's always kind of a Christmas when you go to the post office. Does any feel that an illegal alien should join the military, or should it be only for legal immigrants? I believe only legal immigrants should be allowed to join the military. How would an illegal, I mean, this is from Biology Always Wins. The question would be, how could an illegal immigrant who's by definition broken the law of the land enter the military? To whom would their loyalty be? And I would be inclined to say no. I'm not even struggling with this. I also am inclined to think that people with bona fide dual citizenship, like actual two passports, should not be allowed to serve in government. And I'm not picking on any one demographic here, like French and Canadian. If they're in the government, I mean, if someone has dual citizenship, the question is always going to be, which government are they representing? The one whose government they are in, or the other government to which they also have a passport, the other nation to which they have presumably some loyalty. Like if dual citizen, I don't know how many American politicians are dual citizens. Hold on a second. How many take a guess in the chat. How many U.S. politicians are dual citizens? Senators born outside the United States. Senators born. Let's hear this. There's a lot. Senators born outside the U.S., but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are currently dual citizens. All right, a topic for another day because I see Tyson in the backdrop. I believe that current dual citizenship should not be allowed to serve in government without relinquishing, abandoning, and they don't have to. What's the word? When you condemn your passport, they don't have to do that, but they have to relinquish their second. They have to relinquish their passport to the nation that they do not serve in government. Period. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring in Tyson Hawkley. You might remember him from such protests as back in Victoria, but that's been years ago. And the kid looks like he's a little taller, a little bulkier, if I'm not in the muscular. All right, Tyson, I'm bringing you in. Tyson Hawkley, Canadian kid, or not a kid anymore. 3, 2, 1. Tyson.
Viva, great to see you, brother. Great to see you.
The same. What's going on? First of all,
I am definitely a lot bulkier. I've definitely been hitting the gym. I'm not sure if you've seen the videos I post on Twitter. I'm thinking about starting a fitness course because that's been one of my main focuses as of late. I actually just perfected the muscle up a couple days ago, which is really, really cool. So definitely a lot bulkier. But yeah, for sure. Good to talk to you. It's been a while.
What has it been? 2 years or 3 years? It's been
2 years, I believe. Yeah, because the convoy was 2022. So yeah, it would have been 2 years.
2 years. So you are now 17
16.
or 16?
Yeah.
So what? I was going back and I watched the first interview just to refresh my memory. But
right.
So you were live streaming the protests out in Victoria.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how I started getting into like politics. Kind of. The Freedom Convoy happened. My mom was like, "Yo, you should go record this." It's like nobody in Victoria is live streaming this. We saw the Ottawa streamers, but it was pretty big in Victoria, dude. There's like 10,000 people in Victoria with not as much coverage as Ottawa. So I'm like, I can go fill this gap in the market and stream this. And obviously the Freedom Convoy, I was non-biased back then, but I'll admit it, guys. Okay, this is the first I'm going to admit this. I supported the Freedom Convoy. 2 years ago, I was too scared to say this. I used to say I was unbiased. Guys, I supported the Freedom Convoy 100%. And that was an absolute honor to be a part of that and live streaming that for sure. That's where I first got my start on YouTube, kind of. Before then, I was doing silly videos like 24-hour challenges on my roof, reviewing my shoes, like just silly stuff like that. But that's when I really got serious about YouTube, was live streaming the convoy. That's when I really got my start. So yeah.
Now, did you get in trouble at school for some reason, or am I confusing you with?
That's Josh Alexander.
Josh Alexander. Okay, so you did not also have trouble at school.
No, thankfully. I don't want. Yeah, that would be terrible to go through, man. And me and Josh have actually been working on setting up a podcast. So me and Josh will definitely be doing a podcast in the near future for sure. So looking forward to that.
Well, so you did the live streaming of the citizen journalism live streaming. The protests come and go, and I mean, so what did you do afterwards? You went back to school. You're in high school still, correct?
Yes, yeah, grade 11. So still got another year after this as well. So
okay, awesome. Very cool. Grade 11. And well, what are the plans for the future after school?
Dude, I want to move out to Miami like you are. I want to move out to Miami, meet a lot of people. I saw you're on Fresh and Fit the other day, which is really, really cool. Fresh and Fit, I've been watching these guys for a while. These are people I really look up to. I'm starting to build connections now with Sneeko, Sunny Faz, like people who are actually on that space. I talked on a Twitter space to Sneeko the other day with Myron on there. So building my network. I'm doing a podcast with Tristan Tate. So much stuff. But I want to go to Miami and be financially free. But of course, I don't want to be like a grifter. I want to have a message of freedom all the time. And I want to elevate people's consciousness. The one thing, I want to speak to the youth, okay? That's one thing that we don't have enough. So many youth, they don't care about politics. They don't care about any of this stuff. We need a representative like myself. And I think Andrew Tate has also really gone this. He spoke to the youth a lot. Andrew Tate made it cool for the youth to be conservative. My goal, I want to make it also cool for the youth to be conservative. And I'm doing this too. So many of my friends, when they see me, they say something like, "Oh, Justin Trudeau sucks," like stuff like that. My entire friend group and my entire school, they follow my Instagram page. And it's all just like talking about how Justin Trudeau needs to go. And I think I'm succeeding, honestly. I think that the tide is turning amongst the youth. I think a lot of youth are now seeing it is okay to be conservative. And honestly, it's cool to be conservative now. So that's my plan for the future. Keep waking people up. But of course, I want to move to Miami because Canada's got a lot of problems. And I actually want to ask you this too, because you moved from Canada to Florida, right? Do you believe that Canada is past the point of saving?
I struggle with the question because I don't know. Whenever I go back to Canada, I'm going back in like a couple of days now. It's like walking into the Matrix, where there's a different zeitgeist in Canada than in the U.S. and certainly compared to Florida. It doesn't. There is a pushback, but it's not as widespread, and even the pushback from the conservatives is like a half-hearted, half-assed pushback, where like they sort of like welcoming the problem, but just slower than the liberals. I don't know. I mean, we'll definitely find out in the next election if there is one. But Tyson, hold on. I'm going to sound like your old cranky father right now.
Okay.
The problem, the risk is for young people who want to be a good message and a good inspiration. You need to acquire a meaningful life experience, and the risk of jumping into what I might call, not judgmentally, but superficial life experience might not be that which is the most productive or necessarily best way to jump into that type of field.
That's true.
You're gonna go to university?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm doing a dual credit psychology course next semester. I'm really interested in psychology and like how the mind works. Eventually, I want to evolve to the point where I'm doing like viewer call-ins and I could do like therapy sessions and like psychology readings or whatever on my viewers, because I feel like that'd be very beneficial. As for university, I think I'm going to take a gap year to figure out what I want to do. Like I said, I'm starting to get a lot of stuff going for me. Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate's brother, told me he will do a podcast with me once I reach 100,000 followers on Rumble. So that's something I'm really ambitious about right now. As for university, though, I feel like a lot of people just go because their parents tell them to go, and then they end up. Sorry, go ahead.
That's true. It is. Well, first of all, it's not like I have much faith in these institutions in the first place.
Right.
But they do train you how to think, and they do train you how to discern from and also push back against the rubbish and the nonsense. But like a gap year, I'm going to sound like an old man. A gap year often turns into multiple gap years, and there's nothing wrong with it. Do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yeah, I love that guy. Gary
Old school inspiration, but gives some damn good advice. You know, like learning a trade is something that you don't need to go to university for, but learning a trade is something you have to do through. Learning a trade is a lot easier than, learning a trade is more important than, I don't know, trying to wing it superficially. So that is the thing, like learning an industry, learning a trade, and acquiring a skill. By no means do you have to go to university for it. And I'd say maybe even you're better off not going for that. But
yeah,
the risk is you jump to Miami at you're 17 and 18 years old, and you're going to get lost in a world that is not quite as alluring as you might think it is.
What's it like down there, though? Like, is it a lot better than Canada? I feel like the vibes in Miami are just like immaculate.
Well, I'm not in Miami. I'm like an hour north of Miami. So
okay.
No, dude, I'm in like I'm in old Jewish lady town. Like that. I'm in Boca. It's not. So my PO box is in Boca. If anybody's interested, it's in the description. But no, it's a totally different vibe. But it's also a totally different environment.
Right.
Dude, I got 3 kids and 2 dogs. I'm not doing late night shows with the ladies at Fresh and Fit. But
I was hoping to see you on that, bro.
Nah, I tell you, nothing good happens after midnight, regardless. But also, I gotta drive people places at 8 a.m. and pick up dog shit. But the politically speaking, and we're in an area where it's not red by any means. It's pretty mixed. Culturally, even Democrats out here seem to be more freedom oriented than liberals up in Canada, and there's more of them. Politically, school wise, it's woke-ish, but definitely not as bad as what I witnessed in my kids' public school up in Montreal. But I think the main issue is you're in Victoria, right?
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, the main issue is the laws out here, or versus the laws in Canada, are going to make it. It's going to suppress anybody's ability to be a free thinker and a free speaker in Canada. And then the only question is, where can you effectively or more effectively wage the political war that needs to be waged?
Correct. And just to bring it back to university, bro, do you see what they're doing in university? It is so woke nowadays. So many college professors are incredibly woke. So I just want to throw that out there as well. Like, isn't there like such thing as like a degree in something like gender studies too? Like,
forget that. That's been around for years. Like, what do they have?
Crazy.
They have the religious, the religion studies, whatever. No, but now I've seen what's going on in the campuses with respect to the Gaza Hamas Israel protests, and Montreal is like is a very big focal point. I'm gonna go walk by the McGill campus in Concordia when I get there and see what it looks like. But no, they are not institutions for learning really anymore. But you can still do some learning there. But you need to learn a trade, you need to learn a skill, and you need to do something that distinguishes you, not something that has a low bar of entry, so to speak. Well, how many subs are you up to on Rumble?
On Rumble, I'm at 1,080, but like I don't know, it might have gone up since doing this podcast. The thing is, you know Sneeko, right?
Well, I know Sneeko. I was look. I don't know enough about Sneeko. I know what I think, and it might be superficial based on the limited stuff I could listen to in a car yesterday. But what's Sneeko's deal?
Sneeko keeps telling me that he doesn't believe I could reach 100K. So right now, I'm incredibly driven to prove Sneeko wrong. I did a podcast with Sneeko like a year ago. I talked to him on a Twitter space a couple nights ago. He's like, bro, if you ever need bots for Rumble, hit me up because you ain't gonna reach 100K for the next decade. I'm like, bro, I was like laughing and stuff on the call, but when I got off, I'm like, wow, this just lit such a fire in me. Like, I'm going to go and I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to get 100K. And the thing is, too, it's not just like, oh, I want so many followers just so I could be big and famous and important. Like, no, my thing is I want to have a good message for the youth. There's no other 16-year-old out here who's talking about stuff like the Freedom Convoy and being based on the internet, saying that there's only two genders, stuff like this. So we need more people, and I believe that I'm going to lead the next generation of conservatives in Canada and also in the world, too. It's not just Canadian. Of course, you see in the States, like it's really bad down there, too. Donald Trump just got indicted. So crazy stuff all around the world.
Convicted out of, he got convicted out of New York.
Right.
Still, no, he's got his indictments elsewhere. Tyson, I'll give you the only old man advice I'll give you is in the pursuit. There's two things. One, it's from a Lazy Boy song, and it's called... Ooh, is it Desiderata or is it we only listen to the headlines? Go listen to the Lazy Boy album, and it's a picture of a guy sitting on like a silhouette. The biggest lie you can tell yourself is when you get what you want, you'll be happy, because it's an eternal truth. But the other thing is be careful what you do in the pursuit of that goal, because the internet is forever, and people will do silly things or cheap, exploitive things to get to where they want to get to, and then. There's a certain low ceiling to the limit when it comes to that. So just that's some concerns I have if we're talking in real time. But no, man, what's amazing is it is becoming cool to be conservative, and I say conservative not politically. Conservative today means support free speech, have a little bit of thick skin so that you can deal with mean words on the internet, and have a little national pride in your country. There's nothing. They say like national pride it's like a big N word, but eventually people are going to realize there is some value to conservative principles that anchor you down. Otherwise, you are just a ship aimlessly floating with the winds.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We need more of a conservative backbone in the country for sure. I wanted to ask you a question because, of course, I'm in Canada. Sorry, my main focus is Canadian politics. I just want to ask you, what do people down in Florida view Canadians as? I fear that a lot of people view Canadians as weak because they look at our leader, Justin Trudeau, and they see Justin Trudeau as a very weak man. So like, okay, if these Canadians are going to elect this weak leader, then they must be weak themselves. So I'm just kind of curious what the consensus is in Florida of like Canada as a whole.
I wouldn't. It's my experience. I wouldn't dare speak for a number of people. My impression is that the consensus is and has been for a long time that Canadians are polite and subservient, and that is what allows us Canadians to be ruled by a polite dictator tyrant of Trudeau.
Polite dictator, that's crazy.
Well, and a sentence. Oh no, but he's polite, except when he's frothing at the mouth. Those people are putting it all over. But we are respectful, submissive, polite, subservient, which allows us to be dominated by a government because we would rather forego our freedoms for the impression of safety, which is the sort of the historical genetic opposite of America, which was fight the tyrants and live a wild life of freedom in the Wild West. And I think there is a cultural and historical DNA to a nation, and that's what people think of America, Canada. And I mean, I tend to agree. Like, we are subjects. We view ourselves as subjects to be governed, to have freedoms bestowed to us, and not God-given rights that the government, should have to pry out of our hands.
Yeah.
So, 100%. But now, so you're still in Victoria currently, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Victoria, that's the place where they had at the city hall, they had the period flag flying.
The period flag. What's the period flag?
Did you see that, dude? Hold the period flag is exactly what it is. Hold on.
Wait, sorry, like a period, like how women get a period?
Yes.
They have a flag for
Oh,
you're
dude,
lying, bro.
if you to the kids out there, this flag. Let me see.
Nah, you can't be for real.
Let me find it. You
This
got to
is
get
no way.
you got to get dialed into the news. Where I think is, the niche that is popular or the niche that's alluring is this, the Andrew Tate ultra male stuff, which I think I have some disagreements with Andrew Tate, and we didn't get into it yet last night with Fresh and Fit. I do think, I'm not sure that people have the right perception or conception of what a man in quotes really is, but set that aside. Let me get the period flag. Where is it? They were flying the period flag in Victoria Hall. Victoria Hall. It's a flag dedicated to the. Here it is. Okay, I found it. What the bloody hell is going on here, dude? This is what I think if you cover and go into depth of the Canadian politics, it's sort of it's a niche market because maybe no, remove this. Yeah, Victoria is off the deep end here. Yes, City of Victoria. Today we join efforts to reduce the stigma around periods, women's vaginal bleeding. That's what they're talking about, and work towards menstrual equity. This is in your town, man. You should be here. Not interrogating.
I will interrogate them, bro.
No, on the street interviews. I'm sorry. What the hell is menstrual equity, Madam City Hall person? City Hall will light up red and display the period flag on our community flag wall.
That's ridiculous. Oh my god.
I'm gonna DM you this. This is because this was part of. Let me see what else there was.
Clown World, man. It's
Clown World. Sorry, hold on a second. Let me back out here. You're living in it, but you need to expose that to the world. Victoria is ground zero for the insanity of Canada.
Yeah, I'll definitely go down there and do some street interviews. That's what I've been getting into a lot is street interviews. And what I realized while doing street interviews is how I literally live in the most liberal city in all of Canada.
Oh, yeah.
I asked people the question, how many genders are there? In Hawaii, when I went there, I got a lot of people saying 2. Not one person in Victoria, not one person. I filmed like 5 videos, street interviews. Not one person has told me that there's 2 genders. They always say either there's an infinite amount or there's millions or there's multiple, as many as you like. We live in the most liberal city, or I live in the most liberal city in all of Canada, which is good content. Like, it's really good content. But yeah, dude, I live in the stronghold. I live right in the mix of it all. So,
well, no, that's what I would suggest. Well, first of all, I know that Sneeko started off with his 1-minute politics. I mean, that's a damn good idea in general. I think Sneeko might have ventured into less productive ventures, but I far be it for me to judge anybody. But no, the man on the street interviews. And Crowder did it. Humans of New York. It used to be. It was an Instagram page, or I think it still is. Humans of New York, Honey, and they take a picture and they tell a story of an individual. Dude, do it. Look, get the names of the politicians and ask them questions. They answer to the people, and you should put that stuff on blast.
Exactly, and I've been doing a lot more journalism too. Like Maxime Bernier, the leader of the People's Party, I actually had him on my podcast. I think his policies are really, really good for Canada. The only problem is, like, he just doesn't have the numbers. Like, there's people who would have been liberals that are now leaning more conservative. Like, they're moderately conservative, but they're not going to go all the way to the People's Party. Being former liberals. So,
dude, I'm not yet sure that I'm venturing into this story because it's still fresh off the press. But go look up. Keean Bexte just put out a piece the other day, and there's going to be some political controversy in Canada if what Keean Bexte's reporting is mildly accurate. Go look it up. But man, no, I would say Miami, dude, it's a lively, invigorating place, but you're young, get the good experiences, the meaningful ones, not the ones that might teach you the wrong lessons for life. But
it's like that inner child, that inner just like playful energy. I just want to go to Miami, not even necessarily to party, just like soak in the vibes. Like, I always just envision myself sitting back, smoking a cigar with Sneeko, just like something like that.
That's the wrong vision to have. What you should.
No.
I just want to go and feel the vibe. The vibe of Miami is party. Like, it's. I don't have any interest in doing it, but I get down there. It's like, oh yeah, it's lively. It's like New York, but younger, more hip, more energetic, and I dare say, the dogs were even friendlier. But. Tyson, I have to. I'm almost going to be late to pick up a kid. Tell me, I'm going to go to locals after this, but I'll click you out now. But tell everybody where you are, and we'll keep in touch, and I'll make sure that you stay grounded to
if you're
a healthy life.
You're ending the stream right now, right?
I'm gonna boot you,
Okay.
and then go over to locals and talk to them for a few minutes.
Okay, because I'm actually live on Rumble right now. I think there's something that you can do. If you're ending the stream on Rumble, there's something that you can do where you raid my stream, where it's like all the people in your Rumble stream would go over to my Rumble stream. Of course, like, you don't have to do this. I'm just like throwing that out there. But I am live right now. I'm going to keep streaming for a little bit. So yeah, I am streaming right now. If you want.
Okay, good. So you stay live. Everybody
Okay.
knows where you are. But
Yeah.
Tyson, what's your channel? The channel name.
Tyson Hawkley on Rumble. There's no space in between Tyson Hawkley. It wouldn't let me do it for some reason. You'll know it's the right one because it's got like around 1,000 followers with my red little profile picture. Tyson Hawkley on every single platform, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, I'm there. I'm going to keep on spreading the message, waking up the youth. And I'm actually live right now. So if you want to come watch, go to Viva's Locals, obviously.
My locals knows where I am. They're gonna go. And so, Tyson, Godspeed, man. We'll talk and we'll keep in touch, and just always make sure the internet is forever. What's done cannot be undone.
That's true. I don't want any clips taken out of context.
And with those words of neurotic wisdom, enjoy your day, Tyson. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you so much. God
Pleasure,
bless you.
man.
Have a great day.
Have a good one. All right, I sound like my father, but that's probably not a bad thing. All right, everybody, we're going to end on Rumble. We're going to come on over to Locals, where we're going to have our after party for about 15 minutes because I got to go pick up kids. Now that I'm talking about, he's 2 years younger than my oldest kid. I'm saving a story for our locals. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. I'll be live tomorrow. I don't know exactly what time because I think, at the risk of confirming something that I cannot confirm yet. We'll double check. We are on 4 p.m. tomorrow. Good. Hold on one second. I'll tell you who the secret guest is tomorrow. Hold on. Don't want to bring up anything by accident. Message. Good. Gord McGill is coming on tomorrow. Gord McGill is, he's covering the trucker convoy, was on Tucker Carlson. We're going to talk Canada stuff. So 4 o'clock tomorrow. Gord McGill on the channel. I'll create a link and share that around. Done. People, let's do this. We're going to end on Rumble. And thanks to the sponsors again, Field of Greens, the Wellness Company, twc.com.health, twc.health/Viva. Links in the description, as always. And I will see you all tomorrow. I'm getting distracted here. Cutting it close, people. Cutting it close. Okay, ending on Rumble. Come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And I will see you all tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and it's going to be a banger. Peace. Oh, look at that. I said peace too quickly. Wait. And now, peace, Rumble. Locals, here I comes. Okay, locals, how are we doing here? Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on Tyson and make sure he doesn't follow the wrong path. Ugh, sound like an old person. All right, people, what do we got going on in the chat? We got a couple of tips. Trump did not get appeal on gag order. Is the next step SCOTUS or wait for the immunity decision? Well, I found my afternoon vlog. What happened here? New York's highest court declines to hear Trump gag order. What a mother bunch of F. Oh, lordy. Oh, do I talk about the politically incorrect stuff on locals or do we? All right, Cliff Norman, thank you very much for that. Finboy Slick says, for what it's worth, Tyson, if you want a short path to financial success, become a good welder or something of the sort. You have no idea how much of a broken world will value someone who can fix things. Guaranteed. And speaking of someone who can fix things, so my kid's got a friend. And I said, I'm getting this kid a fishing rod. Kid doesn't have a fishing rod. Like in Florida, everything is a driving distance away. It's like you're off school for the summer. What the hell do you do to stay busy if you don't have an eccentric stay-at-home dad who can drive you wherever the heck you need to go? And I think I got to drive back to Miami tonight for a kids event. What do you do? I was like, can't drive. I mean, you can bike, and that's biking, but biking's not safe, especially in Boca when you got a bunch of old, First of all, not just the old Jewish ladies, the old French Canadian ladies. French Canadian, not French Canadians, but Quebecers are known for being terrible drivers. So biking on the streets out here is not something I would recommend. I got this kid a fishing rod. Obviously we got basically a starter kit. It's not even a starter kit. It's a damn good kit. Fishing rod, fishing line, which I just wound up before. We got a topwater walk the dog Zara spook. We got a jitterbug, a popper, and a bunch of jig lead heads with some worms. And the only thing I'm going to ask is that the kid, A, stay out of trouble all summer, and B, start a fishing channel and create content and learn how to make money. I say, give a man a fish, you feed him for a meal. Give a man a fishing rod, and you keep him entertained for the summer. Gaetan_J says, tried the botanist gin, really good. Thanks for the tip. It's delicious. What, you know, fishing with gators? What? Well, wet simple. You can fish in the canals, not the ones that are like off the glades, because those oftentimes have gladers. Those do have gators. The ones more inland, you'll only get the occasional gator. They'll be small because they have to be like relatively small to get through the grills, and the fishing is damn amazing. Those, I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't. You do not eat anything coming out of those fecal infested canals. But massive snakehead, massive bass. They got the gar, but nobody likes garfish, and they're amazing. Stephen Britton says Calgarians have, quote, won Canada's worst driver more than Quebecois. Viva. I'll go ahead and disagree with you, man. I'll tell you, like, there's a reason why in Quebec we can't turn right on red lights. Salty Corn Pop says, Viva, what's your favorite brand of fishing rod? I've got Made in America fishing rod. I don't know what it's called. But as far as like generic ones go, I got the kid the ugly stick. It's, you know, the ugly stick. It's got a little translucent tip. They're very flexible. They don't break. But I try to get it. It's all made in China crap, and I effing hate it. It's like, it's very hard to find a reel that's not made in China, or you know, not made in some human exploitation of a country. The lures, Heart Tackle. Oh, I'm waiting for that one. But my favorite lure, or at least what I find to be the most effective lure out here in Florida, the worms, like those fake worms on a jig, and Top Water Zaraspook Walk the Dog type thing. So that's it. A stick and a string. Nope. The gladers are coming. Viva Fry, are you going to cover boofing? I don't like talking about drugs, but do you have? Sorry, I just got distracted by a chat. Let me say this. It's not that difficult to tell alligators and crocodiles apart. One you will see later, the other one you will see in a while. Oh, that's funny, Bill. Obviously. Here's the flag we need to fly. Want to upset the imports. What is that flag hyphen? So the boofing, by the way, the boofing is people talking about stuffing fentanyl up their butts because it gets absorbed by the blood vessels in your butthole. I didn't see that segment on Redacted yesterday, and then so I was texting Redacted. I said, thank you guys for having me on. It was great. Anytime. They said it was awesome. We had you on after the boofing section. And I said, what the heck is boofing? And then she sent me a tweet, and it explained what boofing is. And to that I said, shut the front door, or I should say the back door. Bada bing, bada boom. It's so wildly irresponsible. It's unbelievable. You know, so growing up, neurotic mother, and I had heard about these things called beer enemas. I've never done them because I'm not an idiot. And I never did frat stuff in university, but a beer enema, you stick a tube up your butt and you either pour down the beer or shake up the beer and it goes up your butt. And I was like, well, how does that even work? And then my mother, who's a neurotic, also a hypochondriac, says, well, son, you see, you got a lot. She never did it, by the way, but you got blood vessels in your butt hole, in your butt, in your colon, and it absorbs the alcohol. And the only problem is you can actually die from doing alcohol enemas. Here, alcohol enema death. Look at this. We're going to get our alcohol enema death. Experts, alcohol enemas, extremely dangerous. No shit, pun intended. But they show like young girls for the alcohol enemas. News of students at the University of Tennessee using alcohol enemas to get drunk prompted a slew of comments of people in disbelief. When is this from? 2012. When I was in college, we just did funnels and kicks. Is there a 12-step program? But the alcoholics are no laughing matters. One is taken to hospital with blood alcohol of 0.4. That's 5 times the legal limit and what doctors call the death zone for alcohol poisoning. No one is sure when alcohol enemas first appeared on social scene or how frequently they've been used. In 2004, a Texas man died after his wife gave them a sherry enema, causing his blood level to soar to 0.47. Wow. That's high. And I don't want to look at that. Get out of here. How do I close this? Close this. So yeah, don't do beer enemas and don't do fentanyl enemas, you they're trying to get people to die. This is population control. There's no other way to look at it. Taking drugs is bad. Shooting up is bad. Shooting up between your toes. How the heck do they shove it up your bum? I think they just put the pill up and then it gets absorbed. Vaping alcohol is pretty good. Neurodivergent. So that's just terrible. All right, now I don't have very much time. I got to get out of here. What we're going to do now is we're going to pop this into supporters only, and we're going to go with the rapid fire Q&A, AMA, BMA, CMA. Oh boy, soap and teepee. Only things go near the old back door around here. Exit only. LOL. Neurodivergent and Bill Brown. Viva butt expert is going to school us. I can feel it. No. Things. Suppositories. I don't understand it. All right. It's not as difficult as you'd think. The muscle will relax. Steve Britton, we don't need to talk about this. How do you tell your buddy to shove a tube up their ass as Michigan winter days? But it's like, we've heard of people dying because drug mules will stuff it up their butt. The balloons will pop and they'll absorb all the drugs in their cavity. There's no shortage of okay. Oh my God, stop. I'm going to puke, says Ursula G. Yes, we're stopping. Okay, let's refresh the chat and see what's going on here. Did I get all the tipped questions? Tipped. Viva, don't forget about Winston and Pudge. Both of them would likely enjoy fun at the dog beach. Aquatic therapy. Try Barkin Beach in Boca Raton. Bring a couple of doggy life vests. Oh, I could do that, Roostang. Okay. Tried botanist gin, really good, says Gaetan. Okay, good. Now let's go back to the all questions and hope there's nothing more about the butt. Viva, on the topic of fishing rods, Viva and Barnes, new sport. Oh, this is holy cow. Did that not go where I thought it was going to go? I thought this was going to be bat fishing. This is cool.
Long distance casting is a true test of skill and precision in fishing. It's not just about brute strength. It's about technique, the right equipment, and perfect timing. Anglers use specialized rods and reels to launch their lures far out into the water, reaching spots where the biggest fish often hide. The world record for the longest cast is an astonishing 939 feet, set by Danny Mostops. Achieving such distances requires a perfect blend of power and finesse, turning fishing into a showcase of skill and mastery.
No, I'm calling bullcrap. Not on the length and the distance. I'm calling bullcrap that this is actually done for fishing. There's no way that you can cast that hard and that far with anything on the rod. There's no fish, no bait is going to stay on that. No lure is going to be functional that can be shot like a piece of lead. So I will concede that's flipping cool. There's no way there's a hook on that. Okay, but I'm going to look into that because that's wild and super, super cool. That is insane, says Neurodivergent. I'm always baffled that your kids don't ever clean up the poop. They do sometimes, but we've established. I walk the dog. I bathe the dog. I clip the dog's nails. I feed him. Shit, did I feed the dog? I did. And then they wonder why the dogs don't love me more, but are more loyal to me. Why the dog sleeps on my bed. Why the dog, when I was a kid, we used to fight. My father and I used to fight as to whose room the dog would sleep in. But the loyalty of a dog is only directly correlated to the amount of love and care that dog gets from the owner. That's why the dogs are cute. They go and sit with the kids. But my goodness, Winston, if I leave the room, oh my God, I almost left the beef jerky on the ground. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we might have established bad habits, Ursula, in terms of me not being demanding enough for certain things, but I think that might change sooner than later. Kids want to get a fair. It's like, you don't take care of the dog you do have. I'm not complaining. Kids are kids, they're young. And I also, it's just faster sometimes for me to do it. Speaking of which, I got to go squeeze that dog out. Exactly. My boyfriend wonders why the cat loves me more. No, it's a no-brainer. I mean, and the one who trains it is will get that level of respect. There's a fly. Templar battle flag. Okay, I thought it was something worse than that hyphen. I feed the dog. Viva. Shit. Did I feed the dog? No, because Winston's a bit of an idiot. Like, he doesn't let you know when he's. Pudge will whine until you want to scratch your ears open. Winston just sits there, and then lo and behold, like, oh, did anybody feed the dog? No. Maybe he should be a little more vocal about it. Yeah, he's sleeping down there. This kid can't even believe the effing insanity and corruption. Love in 2 limes. I want to know how we can find out about Congress hush money how we can find out the Congress hush money with taxes. Biology always wins. Did anyone like FOIA that? That's interesting, actually. So like whether or not we can get the details on who and how could they not? Hey Viva, I sent you an email. I think you mentioned it started with my actual name, Alma Bates. Okay. Oh, hold on a second. I see it. I see it right now. Got it. Okay. Go to run to help a radiologist in distress. Got to run, help a radiologist in distress. 10 plus years school can't operate software, says Maria 36. Good day. Alma, I'll get to that right now. This kid can't even, okay. Now what I do have to do is go. I got to go pick up a kid. I got to go squeeze out Pudge. And then I got to exercise before I spend another 2 hours in the car driving to and from Miami. And then we got to figure out what we're going to go do down there. Locals, thank you all, as always, for being here. It's been fantastic. Oh, that dog is cute. Bill, that dog's beautiful. Alan Butler, hey Viva, ask locals.com to add the ability to speed up the video when chasing live. Also, I don't know why it does this, but when I click on the link you provide for Rumble on Sundays, I can make the video small and work on other things simultaneously. But if I go directly to Rumble on my account, I don't have that option. Very weird. Steve Brin says, I sent you an email the other day too, Viva. Let me screen grab that so I can make sure that I undoubtedly missed it. There were many mainstream stories on the slush fund about 10 years ago. Yep. Okay, I got to do it. I got to go. Locals, have a good day. Thank you all for being here. Stay tuned, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace out, peeps. Booyah.